The rotation is coming up and it's going to be the biggest one ever. So in this video, I wanted to go through every important card that will be rotating. I'll go through each class to see what you're losing and what you can expect from them going forward. Now let's get started because we have a lot of cards to go through. So you can already see here it's like mostly 15 out of 30 because I tried to maximize the cards at 15 because there were so many cards I didn't want to be here forever. But first of all, before we begin with the class, we got to go through a few archetypes that are leaving for each class. First of all, we got, of course, the Starships. They're all leaving, so no longer any Starship deck. So the Starship Death Knight, no for Demon Hunter. Wasn't really a thing for Druid though. No more Biopod OTKs. It wasn't really a Starship deck, it was just Biopod really for here. Paladin was never anything. Yeah, Rogue definitely was a thing, the Starship Rogue. Probably the most fun Starship deck as well, because you could kind of assemble the Starship with all the other classes. Shaman definitely losing a bit here, because there definitely was a deck, especially a late game deck for Shaman. For Warlock, it was mostly used in the Wheel Warlock. Warrior definitely in the Control Warrior is losing that. And then the neutral cards here, the Arcanite. Yeah, this already been nerfed a bunch of time. But yeah, this one is finally going away, and same with the Exodar. And as you saw already there are also a lot of Terran cards leaving. So all these StarCraft cards are leaving as well. So let's go over the other two StarCraft factions. First of all, Protoss. So yep, Protoss Druid. Okay, that wasn't that big of a thing. But we have Protoss Mage, a pretty hated archetype, is all leaving. No longer Colossus. You're going to get hit by 20 by a single Colossus. So that is gone. Priest as well. No longer spamming sentries into Mothership into another Colossus with that. That is gone as well. And same for Rogue with the Templars into the Archon. So that's gone for that. And then of course the third faction we have here is Zerg. So Zerg DK, yeah, that's been gone since the nerf to the Faster here. But that will be gone. No more Kerrigan. Demon Hunter, okay, that didn't really see much play. And Hunter, let's see a bit of play, I think, with the Evolution Chamber in a very aggressive list. So yeah, those are all gone. And finally, the most important change here is, of course, a Whizbang is also leaving. So yeah, play with it how you can, especially now with those buffs. The upcoming month, you can play with this one still, and it's actually pretty good. I made it to top 100. So if you want to play Whizbang, now's the time before he rotates. Now let's get going to each class, starting with the Death Knight. And what is Death Knight losing? Well, we got the Brittlebone Buccaneer, so all the Death Rattle synergies with this is gone, or that was mostly with the Starships. Dread Knight was just kind of nice in like every Death Knight deck, unless you really wanted some Death Rattle synergies. Soul Searching, saw a little bit of play, just a little bit of greedy value here. Then Seamstress is gone, so that means, yeah, Rainbow is kind of dead probably. Although you never know with Death Knight. We've seen a lot of different rune combinations get played, even though you didn't expect them to see play. Threats of Despair, yeah, after 2 nerfs to this from 1 to 2 to 3 mana, not really seeing a whole lot of play, but it's another board clear gone on top of Corpse Explosion, of course, with the Core Set rotation, Toy Snatching Geist, and we also have the Amateur Puppeteer, so a lot of the hand buff stuff is gone, as well as the Quilter. So yeah, all the Imbue stuff, all the payoffs for the Imbue Death Knight that just got added with the mini set, a lot of it is gone as well. Then we have buttons, and I think like about a year or so ago, this saw some play in like a Rainbow Death Knight. We can show here the cards for the tourists. So yeah, what did it play? So I think it played Molten Magma, and then yeah, Natural Talent, and then especially Frost Decor and Razzle Dazzler. This at 6 mana was really strong. So yeah, when it was 6 mana, this saw play, but after that, the buttons didn't really see much play anymore. Then we got Eliza, so this could be good to some token decks, but I think it never saw too much play, even though it has a very powerful Death Rattle. Horizon's Edge. Yeah, that's a big deal for those Frost Death Knights mostly. This just dealt a ton of damage, 15 apiece. So yeah, that really hurt when you face this one. Then we got the Foam Render. So yeah, the kind of mid-range decks that are running Foam Render now, they're going to be losing this one. So big damage gone for Death Knight. Same with Airlock Breach, kind of the same decks that are running it. Just a nice health boost and 2 threats with it. And again, those same decks were also probably running the Exarch Maladar. So no longer can you scam the Ysera on like turn 6. So that definitely hurts a bit of the high roll potential on those decks. Then the Headless Horseman is gone, a bit of a fan favorite. It never was too strong, but yeah, you can no longer be running it. So if you want to play this card, this is the last month in Standard. And the final card we have for Death Knight is the Awakener of Souls. And yeah, this is a pretty big one for all those Death Rattle decks with Heron. Yeah, this was kind of what made it work. So it's hard to see Heron actually be playable after the rotation unless there's some huge Death Rattle coming back. Then we have Demon Hunter. What is Demon Hunter losing? Well, first of all the crewmates are gone. And it was just Arcane Shield with an upside. So yeah, that is gone. Patches, that's a pretty big one, especially now with the Remnant of Rage. And also the Cliffside going away. So yeah, Remnant of Rage just gets a huge nerf with the rotation, because this was basically what made it so easy for Demon Hunter to make it cost 0. So with those gone, yeah, we'll see how good Remnant of Rage will be if there's enough tokens left to make that work. Then we got red cards, so you can actually play big minions now against Demon Hunter. That's nice. Then the aggro, Demon Hunter is losing Sock Puppet, Slither Spear, and Spirit of the Team. So a big early game loss for that deck. So we'll see if Demon Hunter can recover from that. They still have the Battlefield after all in the core set. Then Paraglide. Seen a bit of play, mostly in some OTK decks, so I won't be sad to see that one go away. Now, a card I'm very happy to see leaving is the Return Policy. Yeah, I really don't like this card. I don't know why it can work with the release location. I don't know why it works when you like polymorph a Death Rattle. It's really weird, but it will be going away, so a big nerf to the Death Rattle Demon on top of course, the 1-mana tutor weapon also leaving with the core set. Then we have the Bullhawk. Yeah, this was meta for a little bit with the Ravenous Felhunter. And then, yeah, this one got nerfed. Ravenous Felhunter has just never been nerfed, but a lot of cards around it have been. So this was one of the victims of that. Then we have Arana, so the Priest Tourist. So a lot of aggro cards as well from Priest leaving, which you can check here. Acupuncture, Brain Masseuse that already got nerfed. Some pretty big cards to have that aggressive push for the Demon Hunter, as well as Hot Calls. I think that's it for Demon Hunter. These are not the cards Demon Hunter played. Then we got Window Shopper, like almost 2 years ago now, I think. This was actually the meta Tyrant, if you can believe it. The weapon as well rotates that would tutor it, so that's gone. So you can no longer discover this with the location as well with Spell Demon Hunter. Then Climbing Hook. Didn't see play for a very long time, but recently seen play, so I wanted to highlight that one as well. Then Spirit Peddler gone, so Paladin Hunter, yeah, that's completely gone as well. Same with Cliff Dive. When a card that makes the deck work is gone, yeah, I don't think that archetype is going to exist anymore. And then we got the Mechtherodon, which existed in some archetypes, like that Window Shopper, although mostly for Discover, and that Cliff Dive deck. Then we get to Druid, and it's losing a bunch of important cards. First of all, we got the Arcanite Revelations. That's more of a support card, but a pretty nice one at that. Then we're losing the Bottomless Toy Chest, as well as Magical Dollhouse, the Aulonius, Sparkling Phial. Just pretty much all the spell damage stuff for Druid is gone, so no more Aulonius OTK. Pretty happy about that. Trail Mix, New Heights gone, so yeah, those ramp cards are gone as well. We'll see if Druid gets a new ramp card with the new set. Then we have Tortland Traveler, so playing both Warrior and Druid, and still sees playing Druid. Just a nice tutor card, right? Just a thought, draw a card, cheat a bit amount on it, so just a nice card for that. Ungor Brochure, I think I saw a bit of playing the Aviana Druid, that also is going to rotate, and now lately in the Quest Warrior as well. Then we have Mista Vista, which wasn't the greatest card by itself, but it did allow you to play those mage cards. And cards like Go with the Flow, Sea Breeze, Chalice, or Rising Waves. Even King Tide have seen play with cards like Tsunami or Huddle Up, cheating those out with the King Tide. So that will be gone as well for Druid. Then we got Aviana gone, so no longer an Aviana Druid or some extra late game. If you want to add this card. Final Frontier gone, not the biggest loss, but I think it has seen some play and it's no longer something you can discover. Then Sleep Under the Stars for both this deck and Warrior. Yeah, just a nice draw card, especially when it was 7 mana, but it was still playable at 8. Then we have the Stargrazer gone, which is seeing play right now in Copy Druid. Just yeah, really strong when you could copy this multiple times, as well as the Hydration Station, which could resurrect Stargrazer, could resurrect Starships, especially before the nerf when you could just resurrect 3 of the same ones. That was really, really annoying to deal with, or a Grey Bow, those kind of cards. So yeah, no longer that. Then Hunter is losing a lot of the aggressive stuff. We got the Catch of the Day, the Printed Canvasaur, we got the Patrick Pals, Remote Control, the Trusty Fishing Rod. All those cards were seeing a lot of play in the aggro Hunter decks, so those are gone. We also have Fetch gone, which is a nice 1-mana draw card, sometimes even draw 2. Then the Rangari Scout and all the Discover stuff, yeah, all the Discover Hunter stuff is gone. So they'll just have to play with a single Sylvanas now, and no longer it's going to be Bounce, because also Brewmaster is going away in the core. So it's a lot better now to face Hunter. That also means, yeah, the Nail is gone, the Parallax Cannon is gone, Alien Encounters, all that stuff just gone. We also have Parrot Sanctuary, which was played in like 3 decks. That's gone. It was always nice to cheat out stuff earlier, or even with like a Location Hunter we had at some point, where you could get like Giants on like turn 3, 2 Giants on turn 3. That was pretty broken. So yeah, big card to lose for Hunter. And another card that's losing is the Sasquatch Furious Files. This saw mostly played, say, the Shaman more than Hunter, but I think it still saw a bit of play in Hunter. Same with the Sasquatch with repeating like Biopods, other things like that. And then we have Ranger Gilly, which was basically just there to make hand buff Hunter work. So you see couple Muscle is gone, we got Char is gone, and Reserve Spot is gone. So yeah, hand buff Hunter is gone, and yeah, I'm not very sad about that. And then we get to Mage, and oof, it's gonna be a rough year for Mage if it's not getting any great cards, because it's losing like every important card it has right now. First of all, we got Sea Breeze Chalice, so what kind of kept mages alive in early game. That will be gone. Hidden Objects, mostly a quest card, but it got you some health, like with Ice Barrier, and that's kind of a main thing with rotating cards and cards leaving for mages. All the armor is gone, no longer the 6 armor from Shield Battery from Protoss cards, no longer the Hidden Objects then, no longer Sleet Skater, Artificer is going away with the core set, so yeah, pretty much all the armor is gone, so it's gonna be very hard to see any slower mage deck survive, because you really need that armor. What's also leaving is buy one get one freeze, which is kind of related to the watercolor artist, so no longer you can like draw those spells like Blizzard, but most of the time it was that buy one get one freeze. So that's a big deal for the fabled dragons that you wanted to copy multiple times, make your arcane spells go 0 and then just OTK the opponent with that. So that will be pretty much gone unless there's some other way to copy those cards. Then we have Tide Pools, Pocket Dimension leaving. Yeah, pretty big deal for the Discover Mage. Discover Mage is really hurting as well. Rising Wave's gone. Yeah, another board clear gone. We had Seabreeze gone, but now also the Rising Wave. So yeah, Mage is going to be struggling in the early game. Well, pretty much everywhere. Exar Kotaru, didn't see too much play, but it was always a fun card to play with. So that will be rotating as well. Then all the big Mage stuff is rotating too, just like we saw with Druid. So Skyla's gone, Tsunami is gone, the Galactic Projection Orb will be gone. Then we have Khadgar going away, which yeah, you could put in pretty much any mage deck outside of like a spell only mage deck, and it worked out really well. Then all the elemental stuff is also rotating. I think that deck has gone kind of under the radar. It was a very cheap deck to play, but always kind of did decently. And yeah, pretty much all the important cards for elemental mage are gone. And then lastly, all the spell cards are gone as well. I got Yawk in the box here, but other cards like Malfunction as well are rotating. So yeah, spell mage is just dead. And then we get to Paladin. Well, what is Paladin losing? Well, all the cards pretty much that make Drunk Paladin work. We got the Vine Brew, Life Saving Aura, we got the Flickering Lightbot, we've got the Sea Shanty. All those cards that yeah, made that deck work are gone, as well as the Lynessa. And yeah, Lynessa is a pretty big card for a bunch of decks. We can check here the rogue cards that you got with it, but yeah, we got like O Manager, the Metal Detector, I think even the Robocaller saw play in Paladin. So yeah, those are all gone, as well as the Cardboard Golem. After they buffed this card, I've actually seen a little bit of play in the Aura Paladin, which is of course a very strong deck right now, and is not losing too much, but it will be losing this card. What's also leaving is the Libram Paladin, so all those Libram cards are gone. Aggro Paladin will be losing the Flash Shield as well as the Crusader Aura, so it's losing all those buffs, but it's getting a new buff with Cataclysm, so maybe that will be a good replacement. Then Glow Sticks is gone now. I think this is probably a while since you've seen this card being played, but it was really good in like OTK decks with that Lynessa. Get a bunch of Glow Sticks, point them at the face, and that's already a ton of damage. Then also we have Painter's Virtue. Yeah, this card, hand buff Paladin. If you've played in the past 2 years, I'm sure you remember plenty of hand buff Paladin decks. And this was often the best deck to climb with. But after the nerf to this without lifesteal, Plushie went from 3 to 4, and I think some other nerfs as well. It kind of fell off, but yeah, that won't be returning. Then also have Sankazel, another card for those hand buff decks. Toy Captain Term as well, although I think you could play this in pretty much any Paladin deck almost. It was kind of a nice card, but especially in those hand buff decks it was good. Then also Crafter's Aura is gone, which sees sometimes play I think in the Aura Paladin, so that's a bit of a loss, but it has plenty of other auras to still make that work. Pipsy Paint Hoof. Again, this saw play in that OTK deck, I think, where it also summoned like the Ankyliax. That saw play for a little bit, which was really strong. But that is also gone, I think, after they killed Ankyliax. And then we get to Priest, and yeah, Priest is in a pretty rough spot. It has like Protoss Priest, and that's pretty much it. And that's going away, and yeah, a lot of other important cards are leaving as well. So let's go over them. Well, first of all, we already saw with the Demon Hunter, Acupuncture, Brave Masseuse, all leaving. Same with Hot Calls, so yeah, all that stuff that made Aggro Priest kind of work is gone. Same with the Orbital Halo. Then Dragon Priest is also losing very important cards. I mean, Skill Replica was nice in it, but most importantly, it's losing the Zarimi. So yeah, pretty much Zarimi Priest is gone. So we'll need a completely new win condition if it's going to see play in the future, as well as losing the Clay Matriarch, another dragon. Then we got the Careless Crafter gone. So that means that this card is gone, the Wilted Shadow. So that OTK deck will also likely not exist anymore. Also, it's losing Vol'jin, so yeah, it's also losing those hunter cards we saw earlier. Like we've seen Sasquatch being played, even Death Roll, I think. Cash Cow to maybe cheat out some Eviana earlier. The Trusty Fishing Rod was really nice with the one drop here, the Catch of the Day. I mean, Parrot Sanctuary, Bird Watching. All those hunter cards saw a lot of play, so it's losing those. Then also going away is that the Rest in Peace, which saw a little bit of play, I think, with again that Wilted deck and yeah, maybe some Starship decks. I can't quite remember what it was, but it's definitely seen some play, or I think it was in Demon Hunt actually, this card saw play. Now Rain Su Fantasy gone, yeah, big loss for the slower priest decks. There's some nice value, some ways to get extra cards. Then the Puppet Theater is going away. Now I think this already got nerfed when the Titans rotated, which were insane to copy, but I guess, yeah, with Colossals coming back to Hearthstone, yeah, this would have been pretty broken if you could copy those, so that will be gone. Now Raza is leaving as well. I mean, they saw a bit of change, but yeah, it was a fun card to maybe play with, but never too competitive, but that is gone. Then Twilight Medium, yeah, all the cards that got recently buffed will be rotating, and this is one of them, and this was one of the ways to get kind of your very expensive late game out earlier. And then we have Repackaged. A Priest is already struggling with board clears, and this was like their one good board clear they had, so yeah, Control Priest going forward. Yeah, it's losing a ton, and it was already pretty bad, so it's gonna be hard to see it seeing any play in the future. And then let's get to Rogue and see what Rogue is losing, on top of course, the Shadow Step, which is leaving with the core set. Well, we got the Space Rock Collector. I mean, there's some play in pretty much any Rogue deck, just really nice. You can play it on turn 1, nice stats, and then also it's basically a 0 mana card. Then we have Maestra leaving. I mean, this was pretty good in the Psycho Rogue. I mean, you played it just purely for the ETM. Just draw 3 cards, but yeah, now 2 mana. There's also a Tess Rogue that's seeing play where you can just spam Tess over and over, and win that way. Manager leaving, yeah, that coin was pretty powerful and cheating out like an Shaman or a Ysera earlier, so it was really powerful. Same with the Metal Detector, even though that got nerfed. I think it still saw a little bit of play. Then we got the Robocaller, which at some point was tutoring the Everything Must Go, which was really powerful when it was 8 mana. But yeah, just a nice draw card for Rogue. But yeah, I think Rogue is not too sad about losing this one. There's so much draw. Now also it's losing all the weapon stuff. The Swarthy Sword Shiner and the Sharp Shipment is going away. So yeah, Weapon Rogue probably gone, unless it's getting some new cards. Not too sad about that. I never really liked facing those Weapon Rogue decks. Then Telgath gone. Not too big of a deal, but it's kind of a nice card to just have some removal as Rogue. A big one going away though is the Dubious Purchase. Yeah, this was pretty insane. Just draw 3 cards, often with prep it was 2 mana, or even cheaper with that Space Rock Collector, and then just kill a minion for basically free. Really strong cards. Then we have Sonya here. Yeah, not seeing much play recently, but that's mostly because of the nerf. But yeah, before the nerf, it was definitely dominating the meta with like Grifta and the Sandbox Scoundrel, which has also seen a nerf. Yeah, a lot of cards being nerfed here for Rogue, and yeah, that was insanely strong, that combination. Then Eudora's leaving. I mean, like, let's say a month ago, I wouldn't have put this card on this list, but yeah, since Imbue Rogue came to Standard, it's seeing a lot of play, and it's fun to play with, but yeah, only a month or so left with this card. Then the Quasar's going away. Yeah, this one got quickly nerfed from 6 to 8 mana. And people always try to make this work, but this card was just never fun to face, so I'm very glad this one is rotating. Then the Snatch and Grab, another card that's mostly seen play recently in like the Imbue Rogue deck and that Tess Rogue deck. And the last card is that the Everything Must Go is, well, going away, so the Psycho Rogue is pretty much dead. We'll get to the neutral cards later, but yeah, don't expect that deck to make a return. And what is Shaman losing? Well, it's losing the Growfin. Yeah, every Gigantify and Miniaturize card is going away, including this one. So yeah, kind of a big loss, I think, for the Shaman class. Pop-up book, just a nice support card. The Molten Magma, we already saw that with Death Knight. Hasn't really seen much play recently, especially when it got nerfed, so it doesn't hit face anymore. Triangulate was kind of played in like some fatigue style decks, where you could discover certain spells over and over, and then kind of never fatigue while you fatigue the opponent. The Cookies, so yeah, the Demon Hunter Tourist is going away. Same with Turbulus, so this hunter card you've already seen. that with Priest, what it's losing, like the Parrot Sanctuary and Bird Watching, those kind of cards, but it's also losing Cookie, which means losing the Demon of the cards, such again the Patches, the Paraglide, which I think I'll play with the Triangulate, the Skirting Depth, which could be good with like a Wind Fury weapon, or the Dangerous Cliffside, and even a Cliff Dive I think I'll play at some point in Shaman, so that will be leaving, as well as the Fairy Tale Forest. I think I also saw playing some slower Shaman decks, the same with the Baking Soda Volcano. Nice removal heal card. All the Asteroid cards are leaving, so Asteroid Shaman, this is your last chance if you want to play it. Hagatha going away. Yeah, Hagatha Shaman that we see right now, that is a top tier deck. It's going to be pretty much dead after this rotation. Now Nabundo is gone, although I don't think this card has seen a ton of play, but it was an interesting one. But no longer will that be in standard. Then we have the Frosty Decor, I mean the Wish Upon a Star, the Nebula. I've seen those kind of cards a lot in those Hagatha decks, and yeah, that will be a pretty big loss for Shaman. And we also have the Wave of Nostalgia leaving. I think at 5 mana this saw play. Any Razzle Dazzler again at 6 mana, this saw a ton of play, which was really strong, and then at 7 mana was like too weak. So it probably had to be like a 6.5 mana card, but yeah, you can't have that. Then we get the Warlock, and honestly, not too many important Warlock cards are leaving compared to some other classes. I mean, we have the Mass Production, which I'll play recently in like the Quest Warlock, but yeah, I think that's probably pretty dead after the nerf and with some cards rotating. And it also saw play in the Pain Warlocks, and yeah, that will be gone as well, because Party Fiend will be gone, Malefic Rook will be gone, and we got the Inferno being gone, and with Molten Giant of course no longer being standard. Yeah, that deck is just completely gone. And we have ETM, yeah, pretty important card for Egg Warlock and for the Rogue as we saw earlier. But yeah, this is going to be a big loss for Egg Warlock, because you generally didn't really want to spend mana on drawing with your hero power, and it destroyed the egg, so it's like losing the best card pretty much in your deck to support the egg. So that's a huge loss. I don't know if egg will survive. I feel like it won't. This card was too important. And we had the Health Drink. Not too big of a deal, it's pretty expensive, but yeah, we're kind of lacking cards to kill your own egg sometimes, and this was a bit of healing you wanted, so this was pretty nice in the Egg Warlock. We've got the Sketch Artist, another card that's I'll play in the Quest Warlock. So this was mostly used to draw Solarium, but Solarium is going away with the core set, so it's not really that big of a loss by itself, just yeah, Solarium going away is the bigger loss. Then we got the Curse Campaign, yeah, saw a bit of play in the Starship decks, but yeah, obviously as we know, Starships are leaving. Domino Effect, just like Curse Campaign, also nerfs from 3 to 4 mana. It was a nice clear at 3 mana, could clear those white boards, but yeah, at 4 mana I didn't really see play anymore. And yeah, that will be gone, as well as the Dark Marrow, which was nice for those eggs and some Starships to get more Death Rattles with the Curse Campaign. Or you could get those Death Knight cards. We can go to Death Knight here. I mean, I didn't see play Slippery Slope, so I'll definitely play with Glacial Shard in those Starship decks. The Wheel Warlocks, the Eternal Layover, this is probably the biggest loss here from the Death Knight cards. This was a huge board clear, combination with the Zerk location. And yeah, that meant you could clear any board, and that's pretty much how Warlocks survived in like the early mid game as well with the table flip. So those big clears are gone, as well as the Horizon's Edge, which I'll play in that Quest Warlock again. And then that's it for the Warlock cards. Black Hole is going away, but yeah, Twisting Nether is coming back, so that's not really a big loss here. Probably better to kill locations. So with all the Elises going around and kill everything but demons, then like I mentioned also, yeah, Wheel of Death is going away. So yeah, Wheellock is pretty much dead, all those archetypes as well, because they really needed the wheel to work. And we got the Warrior, and also Warrior's not losing too many cards. I mean, we already mentioned, yeah, Couple Muscle, the Reserve Spot, mostly cards for that Hunter deck. Then we have Part Scrapper, so it's losing a lot of the mech stuff. The Part Scrapper, I mean, Quality Assurance through the mechs. We've got the Inventor Boom here, Safety Expert, the Boom Wrench. Yeah, all those cards relating to mechs are leaving, as well as the Safety Goggles. So yeah, this was a nice card in, again, with that the mech deck with Part Scrap, or just in any slower Control Warrior deck, Quest Warrior deck. They're also losing All You Can Eat, so this I'll play in a bunch of decks, right? Just tutor some specific minions. That's always nice to have. Then one of the biggest losses Warrior has is the Hostile Invader. Just kind of kept you alive in the mid game as Warrior. And with this leaving, Brawl going out of the core set, yeah, Warrior might be struggling to stay alive in the mid game. Also rotating is the Right Cleaver. I mean, they buffed it like multiple times, but yeah, it never really worked out. It's just too difficult to really make yeah, this work. Too slow, too specific of a draw you need for this to work. Then Ham is going away. Ham by itself, not too important, although sometimes you could eat like a nice card like Alonius. But most importantly, what's leaving, of course, is these Druid cards, especially New Heights. This is going to be a massive loss for any slower warrior deck. They were already lacking kind of the early game, and you really needed the New Heights to get to the mid game faster. And yeah, that's gone. Tortland Traveler saw a bit of play with the Terran Warrior. And then we also have the Sleep in the Stars. And this one was pretty nice to just draw a bunch, especially with quests. Get to your quest reward, the Time Warp as soon as possible. And then the Hydration Station is gone as well. And yeah, Tortilla stays in Standard, but without Hydration Station, it's hard to see this card really seeing a whole lot more play. And then we get to the neutrals, and these are probably going to have the biggest impact on the game because so many staples are going to be leaving. First of all, probably the biggest change here is Ziliax leaving. Lately, it's been the 9-mana version with the twin and healing modules. That has been in pretty much every Elise deck, and yeah, that's a big deal that's going away, because that means not every deck has that healing anymore. Like a deck like Rogue will not have access to healing anymore. That's a pretty big deal. This card leaving Standard alone would change the meta significantly, but yeah, now it's just one of many, but it might just be the biggest change for all of Standard. Then the Adaptive Amalgam is gone. Never really was a top tier meta player, but yeah, people always tried to make this work in different ways with different buffs, but it never really took off. Now, like I mentioned before here, the Gift Wrap, well, the one card that's leaving Dragon Warrior, and yeah, pretty much all the Dragon decks, and even some just aggro decks were running this with only a few dragons. So pretty big loss there. Just a Flame Imp with upside on turn 1 is really strong. We have the Scarab Keychain. I feel like not too big of a loss, but a lot of decks were just running this as like one of the last few cards to add to the deck. Never really felt that bad, but also never really was that great. Then the Moonstone Mauler is gone. Now this is mostly for the Psycho Rogue deck and the Asteroid Shaman deck. And yeah, those will just be completely gone with this one as well. Then, well, Tidepool Pupil. They saw a lot of play at 1 mana. At 2 mana, not as much, but yeah, you could still copy some broken cards. And yeah, Discover Hunter mostly played this, and that was already gone. But this one is just an extra nil in the coffin for that archetype. And here we have the Bumbling Bulb. Mostly saw play in those Hagatha Shaman decks to get a bunch of buffs. But yeah, that was already kind of dead. But this is, again, just like with Pupil, just another nil in the coffin for that archetype. Then here we have the Customs Enforcer, and yeah, they saw play for a little bit, like a lot, and then it just fell off, even though it didn't get nerfed. It's kind of weird, but after rotation, you no longer have to pay fees to this guy. Then Zeph will be gone. This was another one of those cards that just saw like a bit of play in some decks, but never necessary to those decks. But it was always nice to like support that, like get extra board clears, extra damage mostly. So no longer Zeph in Standard. Same with Mixologist. It never was that important, but again, like a nice support tool to a bunch of decks. Here we have Nexus Prince Shafar leaving. This had like a moment in the spotlight with like the Zerglings, and I think after that with a Rogue, I could copy the minions and then get buffs over and over, and I could stack. And after nerf, yeah, it's pretty much gone. But yeah, it had a small time in the spotlight, this card. Here we have the Observer of Mysteries, just like the other 3-drops earlier. Just kind of more support kind of card. This one was very annoying to face, so I don't mind seeing that one go away. Then we have the Overplanner. No, didn't really see too much play. I think it was mostly in the priest decks with that Twilight Medium. Just the whole combo is gone now. Then we have the Sing-Along Buddy. I wanted to highlight this because all the Imbue stuff is staying in Standard. I haven't seen a lot of it lately, but Imbue is staying in Standard for another year. And yeah, Sing-Along Buddy, though, is rotating. So Imbue does get a little bit of a nerf with that rotation. Then we have the Ethereal Oracle at 3 mana. This was definitely a top tier card. At 4 mana, I think it's seen a little bit of playing, like maybe Alonius Druid, but still an important card overall for like the past year or so. Then we've got the Gorgon Zormo also being nerfed from 3 to 4 mana. This saw play in a ton of decks for 3 mana. And then at 4 mana, it just kind of completely disappeared. I don't think any decks really played this anymore at 4 mana. Then we get to Grifta, that yeah, the card that actually never got nerfed. Kind of a surprise. You definitely would have expected this card to be nerfed at some point with those amulets, because when Starships were a thing, this card often decided the game if the Grifta gave you the steal a minion or not. And lately with the Discover Hunter, getting you damage or not was like the difference between 0 and like 48 damage. Way too high variance, so yeah, I wish they would have done something about that, but now it's finally going away in a month. Then the Cubicle will be gone, or Paladin was playing it, and also saw play with the Mech Warrior deck. It was more of a support card than really core to the decks, but it was a nice addition to those decks with those big death rattles. And then we have the Puppet Master Dorian. I mean, I don't know why they made this card. It's just a pure scam card. I'm not a fan of it, and I'm very glad this is rotating, so you no longer have like 1 mana Ursos, 1 mana, well, anything really, 1 mana Firex, anything could be 1 mana, and then you also had the original still, so yeah, it was pretty broken at 4 mana. Then, like I mentioned earlier, with Copy Druid is losing a lot. It's losing the Scrapbooking Student and the Dread Deserter. So yeah, pretty much all the win conditions for that deck are gone. And yeah, no longer a Copy Druid. So yeah, you can take away the copy from the Druid. Then we get to the last few legendaries, a lot of important ones here. First, we have the Incendious, another card that got nerfed by 1 mana. Yeah, a ton of cards on these lists have been nerfed by 1 mana. And yeah, this was a pretty important card in a lot of metas, just being able to clear a board for any class pretty much, especially with spell damage was really powerful, or if you could copy this somehow. A lot of ways to make this card pretty broken, but now it's finally gonna face it. And then we get to kill Jaden. Maybe a little bit overrated, this card, but I never liked it. Just, yeah, really good if you're playing a fatigue deck, but other than that, yeah, not really a card you wanted to play, but important card, leaving. And then kind of a similar card to that was the Marin the Manager. It also got nerfed. It used to be that the draw 3 card would draw cards for 0. And that was pretty busted if you got like a 10 mana card with it. But even with the nerf, it saw play, although I think lately it's fallen a bit off, but yeah, still an important card leaving. Then here we have Colifero. A few decks have played this, like a Druid that just gets that 8 attack card we saw earlier that also rotates a bunch on the board, or with the Demon Hunter getting a bunch of Inquisitors in a Cliff Dive deck. But yeah, Cliff Dive gone, that 8 attack minion gone, this one gone. Yeah, all those decks are pretty much gone. Now, one of the most important cards leaving as well, of course, with StarCraft is Grunty. This 4-star card has been absolutely dominating the meta, and I'm glad to see it go away. Every time I saw this on the board, I'm like, yeah, I might as well concede. This card was just way too strong, and it really should have been nerfed. Then we have the Pedo, and I've been playing this lately in Tokyo Mage, and I feel like it's been played before. I just can't quite remember when it was played in, so let me know which deck this was played in. But this one will be gone with the rotation. Here we have the Seaside Giant, which of course got a big nerf. Saw a lot of playing, like a lot of location decks, the Location Hunter, Location Warlock, and this could come down, like I said, like as early as turn 3. 2 of them, that was pretty broken, but after nerf, yeah, it saw pretty much no play. Then we have another Giant, and yeah, it feels like Giants always get nerfed. They always, I have trouble balancing these Giants. This used to be 20 mana, and in those Psycho Rogue decks, yeah, getting this down on turn 4 or 5 sometimes, but was a little too good. But at 25 mana, it already barely saw play, but no, will for good see no longer play in Standard. And then the very last card, and it's a pretty big one, it's the Ceaseless Expanse, will be leaving. And at 100 mana, this saw play in like pretty much every deck almost. It was way too easy to get this to 0 by like turn 8 or 9. And yeah, even at 125 mana, it's still really strong in slower decks, but it's no longer played in every deck. But a pretty big loss for the slower decks, because you no longer basically have that free board clear, that free swing turn in the late game. And that were a lot of cards we went through. Now, if you want to see what this means for all the decks in Standard right now, I made a separate video on that already that you can check out here. If you enjoyed the video, if it was helpful, make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and until next time.